Hi guys, welcome to Lizzie Dean Makes. Today I'm going to be doing something a bit differently. What I thought I would do is to do a mini series on how and why to get into coding, specifically looking at web development and mobile technology. So the reason that I decided to make this mini series is the number of my friends and family that have spoken to me about their desire to learn how to code, and the experience that I've had teaching myself to code over the last 6-7 years, and my sort of experience working in programming, and the people that I've met who are coders and how they got into programming as well. In the last 5-6 years there's been a massive boom in the demand for coders, specifically web and mobile technology. So since the sort of the invention of smartphones and 4G internet connections and so on, 3G, there's been this massive boom in demand, but there hasn't been the same rate of new programmers coming out of school and university and so on with that sort of qualification, that sort of background. So up until recently the only real IT career path was going through and doing A-levels in sort of mathematics and IT and physics, that sort of background, and then going on to do a degree in computer science, which is much broader than just web development and is much more interested in hardware and networking and different types of state of memory storage and so on. It's a lot more technical than is required to actually meet the description for most roles that are available in the industry, in the employment marketplace. So I think that there's a lack of match up between the two things. So that's something that I thought I could perhaps address in a series of short videos explaining the basics of what you would need to do and what sort of skills and things are required to get into this industry, and what things you can go and teach yourself for free using all the resources that are available on the internet, and basically giving a hub of this is what you need to do step by step to get there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a sort of overview of how the web works at a very basic, in-depth level. So the first thing is that HTML, which is hypertext markup language, HTML, is essentially another type of document. So if you're familiar with Word documents versus Excel spreadsheets, you've sort of got a picture of that there are different types of document, and you might have .doc on the end of a Word document, and you might have .xsl or CSV or something of that nature from something that you might have created in a computer program, and when you've saved that file. The .html file is just like that. It's just a different type of document, a different type of file. And the basic way that the web works is that you've got a network of interconnected computers that make up the internet. These computers are servers, and they host these documents so that you can access them from your machine going across the internet to access them on another machine remotely to you. That's essentially all the web is. But to break this down a bit more, hypertext markup language is looking at the specific parts of the page, what they are, and then connecting them across. So the key thing here is the hyperlink. So that is essentially something that you click on that then opens up another document. So you go from one document to another, and that's how you jump around the web. Is from one page you click on a link and it takes you to another page, and you follow these links around. If you type in the top of your browser window the web address for something, you're essentially just bypassing clicking on the link and typing it in manually. So that's essentially what the web is. These HTML documents which contain links which interlink different documents around the web, and that's how you navigate around it. So the first thing that you want to learn is how to understand the bigger picture. So you create your HTML document, you host it on a server, and incoming requests to your web page, they'll type in www. whatever your domain name is, say domain.com, and they'll go off to your website. How they get to your website is very similar in concept to how someone would send you post to a PO box. So they would go to the PO box through the Royal Mail or whoever hosts the PO boxes, and they would say, I've got some mail here for PO Box 123. The post office then understands that PO Box 123 refers to this particular location of post office boxes, say down in Somerset, and they will then forward the mail onto there. The equivalent of this in the web context is that www.domain.com takes you to a domain name server, which is a sort of front that redirects you to the appropriate IP address. So you type in your domain name. There's only a sort of limited number of companies that register domain names and so on. So it checks and it says, okay, where's this domain name then? And it will point them on to the IP address of where your document is. So it essentially works a bit like a PO box routing service. So the end user doesn't need to know where your server is. It doesn't need to know the IP address of your server. It just needs to know the domain name and to go to the domain name server to find out where to go next. So that's essentially how the routing of domains works and what hosting really means. The second thing to bear in mind is that you've got documents which are static and which are read up and displayed in a browser, and then you've got the interactive parts where one document connects to another. So the protocol that is most commonly used in the web, there are different protocols for different reasons, but the most common one that you're going to need to know about is something called HTTP. And HTTP is how you request something from the server. So you go to the server where this IP address is pointed you, and you say, hi, I want to go to this IP address, and this is the address that I've been given, which is domain.com, and the server then translates that to which file to give you, which is probably going to be the home page of that website. So it then gives you the home page, which is an HTML document. On that HTML document there are various hyperlinks which you can click to take you on to a different web page, which is like the about page. When you click on that link, you speak back to that server via HTTP, and they say, oh, now you want the About Us document, here you go, and they give you back an HTML document which you display on your computer. In very fundamental terms, this is how the web works. So if you want to get into web coding, the two key things to start with would be to get a basic understanding of HTML and a basic understanding of HTTP. This is easier said than done, but those are the two key areas that make up how the web works that you need to get your head around. So that's where I'm going to leave it on this video. Check back for the next video where I'm going to discuss more about doing an HTML document and making that HTML document look good for a static web page on your server. So I will join you then. Thanks guys, bye.